But today, you are here for our Lunch and Learn on the Visual and Performing Arts. We have a very strong visual performing arts program. And so you're really in for a treat today, as you have most of the department here, and they'll introduce themselves and also kind of give you insight into the visual performing arts, as well as some of our shows and concerts that you can come and view for yourself. So first, I'll turn it over to Jennifer Moran. So she's the chair of the Visual Performing Arts Department. She's also the director of our chorale. So works with our talented singers. And she has been at St. Mary's for a long time.
When I came, she was like 5.
But we've been here for a while together, which has been great. She also is the mother of 2 St. Mary's graduates. So she has 2 alumni who are out. One's in college and one is just entered the workforce, right?
Well, she's not working.
Okay. So anyway, so I'll turn it over to Jennifer, and there will also be time for you guys to ask questions at the end. So enjoy.
So we in the arts really believe that relationships are the most important, and trust and communication, and you all knowing who we are, you guys knowing who we are, and we want to know who you are. So we're going to introduce ourselves, but I'm not just going to tell you my name, but just a little bit about sort of what our background is. So I was Jennifer Smith. I grew up here. I went to St. Timothy's, and I went to grew up in just right around. I met nobody else, and I went to Meredith and majored in music, and then I went to the Harp Conservatory and have a master's in opera. And I sang for a little while, and then I came back to Raleigh when I had my first baby, because I just decided I was going to stay home with my baby. And my husband said, well, I can sell, ads anywhere. So we don't have to stay this far away from our families. And we moved back down here, and I was at Bojangles. And Terry Elizabeth Thompson, who still teaches piano here, saw me and said, are you here? Are you back? Or are you just, like coming south and stopping at Bojangles? And could have been. And I was like, I am back. And my voice teacher from college had a daughter here, Taylor White, who has done murals all over Raleigh. She did the Whiskey Kitchen, and she was in art here. And Catherine was teaching voice here, but Taylor was getting ready to graduate, and she was like, I would love for you to take that job. So I called my mom, I'm like, I cannot take that job, because my whole thing was I was going to stay home with my kids. And she was like, you better take that job. I love it. And she was so right. She was so right. So anyway, I still sang for a little while, and then my job has sort of gotten bigger and bigger. Mrs. Senzo hired me. But I currently chair the department, and and I've been the chorale director. I was just teaching voice for a long time. I loved it, loved it, loved it. We have a really strong applied program here, so if your kids want to take lessons, that's a great, as someone that also drives their kids all over the place all the time. Anything that they can do here is amazing. And I will tell you that anyone that's ever had their kids in dance is so happy that we have a dance company so that they don't have it's amazing just the having everything sorted out. So I taught voice, and then Mrs. Senzo asked me if I was interested in looking at the chorale, and I love it. I did not have any idea that I would love it as much as I do, and I've been doing that for maybe 15 years. So love it. But we, really, we work together. We really know each other, and we know the girls, and we, are always sort of on the beat of like, I have one that I think might be good, and so, and with that, I guess I'll just turn it over to y'all, and y'all tell a little bit about yourselves.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to go next because my story is so strangely similar to hers, and I didn't even know that until this moment.
Oh.
So I just learned some things about Miss Moran. see, I went to Meredith, I went for theater, loved my time there, loved Raleigh, but went away for both my, oh, sorry.
We just can't be sure.
Moved away for both my career and for starting a family, had kids. I went to Emerson College in Boston, amazing school. I went there for theater education. I started my career as an actor. I spent time in Boston and then moved to London and did that for a little while. And then I had my second baby. And I was like, oh, Raleigh all of a sudden seems way more appealing than London, since this is where the grandparents live. So we moved the family back. And we've been back now for about 10 years, and I was doing my thing here in the area. I'm very involved with the theaters in the Raleigh area, and I owned a theater for about 5 years, and was really enjoying that, but looking for a life change. And owning a business is a whole beast. It's not just the worrying about the production side and the budget side. It can just take all your energy away from the art part. So I was kind of ready for a change when Miss Moran, it's not just like similar stories, and when Miss Moran happened to come to the theater, and she really loved what she was doing, what we were doing there, is she thought, oh my gosh, you know what? This would be great collaboration. Like we could send St. Mary's girls here and stuff. In the back of my head, I'm like, except I'm not sure I can keep up this, the business side of things because I'm exhausted. It turned out that was just an amazing meeting because she had no idea I was potentially considering a change, but St. Mary's was looking for a new theater director. So that led me to go, what is this St. Mary's place? Oh, that. I actually live right in Cameron Park, and my kids went to Wiley across the street, and I was like, oh, that gated place? Let me find out more. And as I uncovered it, I was like, wow, she's right. This is an amazing place. So I came on campus, I knew right away this was the place for me, and so Ms. Moran was instrumental in helping me open my eyes to how amazing it was here, and that was 4 years ago, almost, and this is my 4th year here, and I absolutely love it. I think I thought at first that as people graduated out, like, what's that going to be like, but I'm starting to really realize that the freshmen that come in, or like this year's freshman class has just been blowing me away this past month, and like really actually blowing me away. So it's like, oh wow, this is exciting that new classes come in, and we're able to do that. And of course, with theater, people often worry, well, if my kid has theater experience, what does that mean for coming into the ensemble? And I have found here that the same way I got brought in, and these lovely people who were already here welcomed me, and we collaborate together really well. The students do the same thing. That's what we model for them. So a freshman coming in, has just as much chance as a junior for any of the roles in the productions. We take people wherever they're at and help them grow, whatever that means for them. If they can have the most acting experience of anyone I've ever worked with, I'll still help them get to the next place. We do that in all of our subjects. That is the picture.
I'm Teresa Senzo, and I'm the Director of Visual Arts, and it really was the best decision I made, hiring Jennifer. Her predecessor hired me, Elizabeth Bean, the Corral Director. And I grew up in Michigan, but I'm so glad to be in North Carolina. I love it. And I went to a really small school for undergraduate school, Poundale College of Art and Design, which has a big furniture making department. And actually, so it's funny because some people here actually know it, which shocks me. But we had students that studied in North Carolina and opposite. Some students in North Carolina would come to Michigan. That's of course Steelcase is in Grand Rapids, so that's that. And then I went to graduate school at California College of Art, which is in the Bay Area, San Francisco and Oakland. And that was a great experience. I taught at Western Michigan University in the Kalamazoo Institute of the Arts for 10 years. And then decided while I was there that I really wanted to do K through 12 education, so I actually went back for my certification. And then I taught elementary art for a little while, but it wasn't really my calling. I liked it. My mother was an elementary art teacher, and she was fabulous at it. And I enjoyed it. They're so cute, but it wasn't my thing. And then I came to St. Mary's, and I've been here, this is my 19th year, and I love it. It's by far my favorite place to teach. And like Michelle was saying, and Jennifer was saying, I think we work really hard to create a safe environment for all of our girls to explore and experiment in the arts. And we have girls who come through, they all have a 2-year or 2-credit requirement, but most of them go beyond that, actually. And sometimes they'll experiment and try different things. Sometimes they'll stay with their discipline, and if that's art, they might stay with it all 4 years, and sometimes just for fun. And sometimes they'll end up, because they want to major in something in art in college, it will help them prepare portfolios, and they've done really well, so we're really pleased about that. And now it's at the point, I've been here long enough that some of them are working in the workforce, and I'll meet them and hear from them, and they're doing such a range of things too. Some of them, some of them are artists, some of them are printmakers, painters, designers, graphic designers, animators, architects, industrial engineering, and then I have one student who actually works with Providence, and she's had an art history major, and then she went for a law degree. So she does that. That's really interesting, right? She works with spaghetti sometimes. So they do all kinds of interesting things, and that's really fun to be a part of that. And it's also fun to see the ones who are having babies now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so old, but it's so fun. So thank you.
So last, yay! I'm the other Michelle. There are 2 Michelles. There's theater Michelle and dance Michelle.
And Dr. Coleman.
Oh, right in here. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, so theater Michelle, dance Michelle. So I'm Michelle Pearson. I am the director of dance. This is my 3rd year full-time as director of dance. However, very similar to these lovely artists, entered this teaching career through the arts as a professional artist. I was a part-time faculty member in 1999-2000 here. It was my first year. I'd been in a dance company. I was in New York, and then I was in DC, and I was in a dance company on the road working 48 weeks a year on the road for 4.5, 5 years. Got exhausted, had a baby, moved to North Carolina, and they needed a part-time teacher here, and my old dance teacher too, so I came in part-time and worked. And then I went back on the road for another 5 years with the baby. You can do a lot with one.
Yeah,
Right. Again, this dance that took me around the world in places that I never thought a little degree in dance would take me. As a cultural diplomat working for the State Department, as an artist working with politicians, with retired nuns, with preschoolers, with prisoners, using art as a way of solving challenging problems, but also at the highest level, kind of that professionalism. And I found myself over 20 years coming back and being a guest artist at St. Mary's. I also taught at Meredith and other places. But what I love about this school is that that's their mission, to prepare women for college and life. And what I love about this department is all of these are artists who have used their art in the world and really it's changed their lives and the lives of many other people. I still have students from that 1 year that I taught back in 2000 who are amazing choreographers in the world. I've hired them, I've collaborated with them, I've worked with them. It's an amazing program. So the dance program here, just like Michelle Wells said, I don't say, we do have all levels of technique, ballet and modern and jazz and stuff, but we take students wherever they are and let them grow in that. And I want as many different ways for people to enter. I have seniors who are in introduction to dance, and I have freshmen who are in the advanced dance. And we don't kind of hierarchy it that way. We kind of just make sure that everyone is in a place where they're really excited, challenged, and inspired, but also learning how to translate what we're doing in our art rooms into real world jobs and practices and ways of being. and I do have 3 kids now, so I'm very happy to be in one place. But still travel, still can take the students out and engage them with dance wherever we can have partnerships in Europe. So that's it.
Do you want to show the video and then we'll talk about the day on the slide with the thing and then we'll, does that sound good?
Michelle Wells made a little compilation video here.
Michelle did not tell you all this, but she has a degree in film too. So we have some really good, yeah, we like, she can take a really terrible picture from my iPhone and make it look.
Here we go.
You know the drama is never ending. Don't let it get the best of you. And all the fake friends just keep pretending. That's how the little things get you. Highlights in every pore. Oh, you feel it taking over you. To the center of your core. Oh, the lies are getting overused. When you are on the door, getting caught in the storm. Do you remember? I told you if we dance, blindly I'm not getting cold. So keep on dancing, baby.
So we would love for you to read this. We what was I gonna say? I love this video. That's the first thing I want to say is just totally off book. But this school loves the arts, and the girls love the arts, and the kids that. I mean, I think we have a lot of times more enrollment in English, and you have to take English every year. You know,
More enrollments than we have students.
yes. So, because we have so many double up or whatever. So when you saw those pictures of the kids dancing outside or like, you know, like during COVID, we never stopped anything.
Yeah.
And this Michelle, I thought was, you know, we did a Greek tragedy because we had to wear masks. So she said, we'll do a show that they have to wear masks, you know? And so, I mean, it was amazing what they got to do, especially, you know, when I would talk to my colleagues out in the world. So,
And they sing outside. And we
never stopped singing, never stopped dancing.
It's a lot of places stop singing.
yeah, so we did, yes, it was really wonderful that we were able to still, you know, provide the same kinds of preparation and things for our students that we've always had. And we feel like for our kids that are in our classes, that what they are learning, you know, they love what they're doing. They have such a good time. We want them to leave happier than when they came in. But they are learning perseverance and resilience. And when, you know, like I had a son that swam in college, and people would always say, oh, I bet he has the best time management skills. And we thought he did. But really, he just was told what to do all the time. But our kids, like, because they have this process that they, you know, when they come in and they get a book, you know, or have a blank canvas, you know, and then they know that there is a final end date, they are learning the steps, you know, and by the time that they are juniors and seniors, they're able to manage that time on their own, like they know where they should be all the time, and, you know, so,
Yeah, they really learn the process. I mean, I think that's a lot of it. And they also have to, in all of our disciplines, like when you talk about resilience, like in art, it's critique, but in other situations, it's like, you know, adjustments to what they're doing the same way when they're just doing it in real time instead of afterward. And you know, they have to learn to be comfortable with that. And we have to learn to deliver it in a way that it can be heard and be warm pushers, if that makes sense, you know, like push them forward, but still do it in a kind way. So they feel encouraged, and that's develops resilience.
And we also want them to learn that everybody has something that they're good at. Like, you're not gonna be great at everything.
No.
And that, and I think that we always see other people and wish that we sort of had whatever we, you know, but because we all try really hard to, you know, bring that out, you know, and help them get better at what they need to get better at, and also get better at what they're good at. But the kids start to recognize, because they'll be like, oh, I love Michelle, you know, can do X. And then Michelle says, I can't do that. I am good at that. You know, so by the time they're juniors and seniors, they have this sense of worth in our classes. And we feel so blessed that we get to have them for 4 years, because we have that opportunity to keep, you know, helping them. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about what happens during the day, and then we'll let the Michelles talk about.
Do you want me to switch to what?
Yes, you got to. Sure. So, so we have lots and lots of offerings, and when your daughter comes here, when you come here, your first year, you pick an art. And when people call me and say, what should you do? I say you should do what you want to do. Because this is not a very big school, you're going to spend tons of time with all your friends, and everyone is welcome in all of our classes. So, you know, we hear a lot when people say things like, oh, you don't want to be in chorus. Like, that's like a song, you know, like I hear that constantly. Yeah, and I'm like, well, I mean, what if you went to the school and said, you know, my daughter's not very good at math, so we're not going to do that. You know, like, it's ridiculous. So, and everybody loves music. Everybody loves all the arts. So if there's any little piece of you that wants to sing, we'll teach you how to do it. It's a learned skill. And we can, you know, if you can talk, you can sing, right? So, and everybody has like sort of a degree of uncomfortableness in one of the disciplines of the arts, I think, right? You know, I mean, we have to fight with ourselves too, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like, don't ask me to dance.
No, don't ask me.
I did, and I actually did dance with Michelle at the Museum of Art. I did. So she was great at like getting us to do it and not being afraid. But
So yes, so we know what we're good at, but we love to, you know, appreciate everyone. So then when they're sophomores, they have a learning lab, and if they're, you know, in good academic standing, which your daughters will do beautifully here, they can sometimes take 2, but definitely by the time they're juniors and seniors, they can, you know, double up in their arts. And then they're like, you know, that's what happened. I mean, there's so many, I could go into everyone's lunch and learn. But with the advising program, like, we sort of like, you know, want to figure out what's best for your daughter. So, you know, we want her to graduate in 4 years, so we're gonna, you know, not take all the arts. But we can help figure that out. And so, and of course, then there are offerings after school as well, and clubs and things, so we can sort of, you know, round that out until they get to those upper levels or you know, upper grades where they can switch. But you can see we have a lot of different things in each discipline, but they all start on a foundational level, and then, and like in my class, they would only take, you know, chorale, chamber music, but we never sing the same thing. And and it's really hard for the 9th grade, because we come in and we sing really tough stuff, but we know how to do it. Yeah, so anyway, so they can continue to take theater for 4 years, or dance for 4, you know.
Right.
or we do start, like, in art, we're a little different than dance. So we do start at everyone at Art 1 and Art 2 in Foundation. And a lot of that is because the assignment, unless they're a 10th grader, then it might change, or they're incoming from somewhere else. But if they're a 9th grader, really the reason is because it's the social aspect, to be honest. I feel like they're in with all of their other 9th graders. There's sometimes a few seniors scattered in and things like that, but it's a lot of their 9th graders, so friends, that they can have an opportunity to meet people and make friends, I think is really important. And the assignments actually that we give them can be done at any level. So like, if I'm asking you to do like something that's like cubist in nature or in a drawing, like, or a piece inspired by George O'Keeffe, you could take that and do something kind of simple with it, or you could do something like George O'Keeffe, right, who's famous. So you can kind of, we have more room to like move through the layers, where in dance they could get hurt if they don't start out in the right space.
And incoming dancers, you know, if they have a lot of experience, you know, that's, we talk and we do a little trial class and stuff, but like right now I have a lot of freshmen who are in intermediate dance. I don't start any of them in advanced because that has a lot to do with choreography and composition, but they meet at the same time as advanced, so they're getting the really rigorous material, but we certainly don't start them below where their technical skill is.
And sometimes if we have a girl that like has taken a lot of private lessons, like she'll still start out in Art 1 and 2, but then she might advance somewhere else so she can take 2 APs. But that's pretty rare because most of the time, honestly, they don't want to. Most of the time they're like, okay, and it's better if they go through the steps because they have to do a lot of conceptual work in AP. And so it's so much easier for seniors just because their thinking has advanced so much, you know, from all the classes, not just from either of them.
So that's kind of your daytime, is they're gonna have these 2 requirements, but like we said, they generally stick with it all 4 years because they just love it, you know, I mean, it's, you know, and they love each other and, you know.
And they have a lot of fun.
And then we also, in our daytime classes, there are performance, like we would tell the girls that they're opportunity. You can't tell any of these secrets, you know, like, you know. But, you know, performance opportunities. But it's really, you know, everybody should perform. Like that's how you get to, you know, or do the critiques or whatever. So, so you can't be in theater class during the day and not ever do a performance, right? You know what I mean? Because that's part of the
Tech theater
process.
people are the ones I would say get the closest to the non-performance part. But
they're
behind the
like,
scenes.
I was up to say they work harder than anybody else, I think, really. I mean,
Well, their work is being displayed for
Right.
all, but they don't look at
So,
it.
But they're not.
They're not there, so they.
that's because being able to put yourself out there is just the most important thing, I think, in the world, really, is to be able to advocate for yourself. And that's what we want from them when they go on. And so they're definitely going to do that in our classes and get that over, you know, years of time.
Another thing I was going to add to the daytime stuff, yes, they have to have 2 classes, but then we've also added in a speech program for all students. So right now it's juniors that do it. So as freshmen come in, eventually they'll become a junior. And I'm working with every single junior here on how to be able to speak in front of people and what even that means, like how we even like relate to that. They write a speech, they'll end up giving it to the St. Mary's community, whether it's in chapel or assembly. But even those people, my tech students, are people who are thinking they're flying under the radar when it comes to, you know, they still end up like, hey, it's me, guess what? And I'm like, ah. But the buy-in of it, I'm like, well, what do you want to do with your life? Like, oh, I'm an engineer. Oh, do you think you'll ever have to do a Zoom meeting? Like, while you're sitting in your office and
Well,
you
on
talk about...
that note, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. My daughter's boyfriend is in engineering at State, and they are having to take theater because apparently engineers are terrible at selling their ideas.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so
I have so
Ben
many
is
stories.
just, yes, we're all over him all the time now, yeah.
I actually, when I moved to business,
I'm
I
going
did.
to jump in there too. A few years ago, I did a huge project collaborating with a professor at NC State in math, and I had 5 St. Mary's students perform this work on 4th dimensional knots, you know, in topology, because he had research from the National Science Foundation, but the money that he got, no one cared or understood his math. So they hired us, and the St. Mary's students, we had these math dance laboratories to humanize his math and to broaden the impact. And I thought that was the same thing. There's a
Exactly.
skill.
So I actually just recently
Here's
spent...
what's right. No, yeah, you can transition.
So I spent I spent a lot of my time last week with all the juniors simply trying to explain, like, I know you are, like, I didn't think I would have to talk to her, but guess what? Here's why you should be excited about that. Yeah, so here is our list. This is the stuff we just have coming up. This is a sampling of some of the arts things that we have coming up. This is not everything. October 5th, that's part of, we have a big family day celebration, so that's something that you guys would be able to.
And really, you should come to that because there's a little of all of us in that. So, you know, it's a.
So there's a performance that the chorale does, that they're doing theater in it too, which is really fun for me to see. October 20th is our preview for Little Women. And if you guys would like to come see that, you can talk to any of us, admissions and such, on exactly how to reserve your spot. But that's going to be Little Women the play, not the musical. December 11th, we have a great tradition. St. Mary's has so many lovely, really sweet traditions that they do. And one of those is lessons and carols. And we light the grove with, luminaries, and the tree gets lit, and the singing, it's magical. One time I had somewhere to meet, I had to meet a friend, and so I was like catching part of it. It was like my first year here. So I got to like walk out the gate, and I was hearing them sing, and I almost started crying. Like you could just feel the energy, and I was like, that's where I work now. That's magic right there. So that's something you just can't miss. It's beautiful. And I'm not exactly sure, this is not meant to insult my lovely students, but how Jennifer can get so many and every person to sing so lovely is amazing. Like, I've told the students several times, I don't think you quite understand what you have here, that you can start with no skills and end up being able to do that. I've never seen a group come together like that. So you don't ever want to miss the chorale stuff.
I'm always proud of the chorale sings.
Yeah,
So they're just being nice, but I will tell you, when I started here, that was the hardest thing about taking the job, was that the departments were so strong that I was like, oh, it can't be bad. Like, you know, or even mediocre. It has to be really good because they're so good. And so, you know, we don't have.
we like to inspire each other.
That's right, so.
Yeah. And then for our musical this year, we're going to be doing Chicago, the high school version. And we are actually doing an amazing arts center renovation. And, it's going to be incredible. We already have a really cool historic space, but it's historic and doesn't have a lot of the things that, with technology today you could have. So we are more than doubling the space by adding black box theater. We're redoing everything. It's quite the project, and we've been able to be included in the planning and meeting with the architect, and we are just so excited about that. So Pittman will be shut down for at least a year and a half. So we will not let that stop us, just like we didn't let COVID stop us.
No, and on that note, like, we want it to be cool for the kids, so.
Yeah, so we're like, ooh,
We're not
let's
gonna
get
do it in the gym, you know, and just try to like, you know, put a Band-Aid on it. We're gonna just make
No way.
those experiences.
Raleigh has so many
Awesome,
cool
yeah,
spots. So we're like, hey, this is a good opportunity for you to, tour some other things. So Bird and Cole Theater is nearby, and we've rented that out to perform our spring musical, and that's at the Black Box Theater. It's really, really cool. And I've already been thinking about future performances, and we probably will do those at a different spot just for the sake of them being able to experience. We'll take advantage of that learning opportunity to be able to experience what other theaters.
And that's kind of what we were talking about, the school really supporting us, because it would have been just fine for us to do the concerts in the chapel. But like, our spring concert is at the Fletcher Opera Hall. And so, and you know, I mean, it's just going to be awesome. Like, I'm so happy for the girls to be able to be in it.
Yeah, April 16th, Chorale Spring Concert at
The A.J. Fletcher Opera.
And then Orcus, same thing. We're super excited about. They're also going to be at Burning Coal.
I do want to say this, that if you're here, you're invited to this, email me, follow up. But the annual Middle School Day of Dance is a day where we invite, 120 middle school dancers from around the Raleigh area. They come from all different middle schools. schools, but it's like dance classes come. But if I have a dancer who wants to come on their own, it's like from 8:30 to 2, and we have class. We have like a, you know, a technique class, a choreography class, either hip hop or African class, and we're all together all day. It's like,
It's cool.
it is
So-
exhausting.
So funny enough, we're getting,
Trying to do this.
yeah, that's what, so funny enough is we're running out of time, but we haven't even got to some of the some of the biggest part of my job. So we have so many exciting things that go on after school. That's where obviously, people can take theater classes, and I do have, 30 or 40 kids that take a class throughout the day. But sometimes those are, athletes that after school they wouldn't be able to participate in the, school play because it's the same time as athletics, so they take the class during the day. But then most of my students are actually after school, and Ms. Pearson can talk about how her after school stuff works together there. But all freshmen who come in have to do something after school. It's a requirement as you come into our community. You will do something here after school. Of course, people are like, I already have my soccer team, but if you're going to come to St. Mary's, then it's very rare that you're given an exception where you don't do the after-school thing here. If you can do your soccer thing in the evening, at 6, that's your time. But that hour and a half after school, you need to be part of our community. And that's also to bring the boarders and the day students together, because the boarders obviously need things, so the day students need to be right there with us because we're all one team. So we have purposely and intentionally, there will be a lunch and learn where you can hear about athletics. So I won't try to speak to any of that stuff, but we divide and try to coordinate as best as possible, where we've got 3 trimesters, so the year's divided into 3. And when they switch a sport, we also are switching the school play. Now, with the facilities thing, we're a little messed up this year, where it's not going to be perfect, and people are going to have a little bit of overlap between sports, and we're trying to work out those details. But on a normal year, you would be able to do soccer when you first come and not do the fall play, but you're interested in the musical, then when soccer ends, it's time to audition for the musical. We do our best to make it where if someone doesn't have to choose one thing for the whole year, they would be able to go. They do have to choose one thing at a time, because you can't get soccer practice and rehearsal at the same time. They think they can. And we have to be like, so how would you do that? And we're like, oh, well, we don't always have games, just on the non-game days, I'll come to rehearsal. I'm like, that is really fascinating. We use that as a lesson time. But we do make it where they have those 3 trimesters where they can choose a sport and then switch and that kind of a thing. And I think we're running out of time, so
Yeah,
you want to mention a little bit about
since
after-school dance?
Well, Orchesis Dance Theater is a course, they get credit for it. It has a lot of rigorous assignments, and we follow the standards, choreography and all that, and they perform. However, there is a prerequisite that they take technique class, so they're taking technique during the day, and then Orchesis meets in the afternoon. But we also have other dance opportunities for people who want to dance in different ways.
Yeah, and in all of our disciplines, last thing we'll say before we take questions is, there is an opportunity for the kids, like we have a acapella group, we have hip hop dance, the Supersonic Dance Club. There are several art clubs and there's theater where the kids can take what they learn in our classes and totally manage it on their own. And they do amazing, amazing work. Like with the Ladies in Blue, I'm just their manager. Like I can sign the contracts. That's all I'm, they're amazing. So we want also for your daughters to be able to do this on their own in a way that
teaching them how
speaks
to
to them.
create.
Yes, so
But Supersonic is performing this weekend at the Asian Festival.
Yeah, it's
so
amazing.
there's-
amazing. Yeah, they're
Saturday.
sought after. So
Questions.
questions.
What else can we tell you guys, and what burning questions do you have? Because
We're the
us
top.
theater and performing arts and creative type will just talk forever.
Matthew will present in 1 minute.
And we're like, sure, we can go for 5.
Tell us more about boarding and boarding seasonally, both aspects.
So I live on campus and so does Mrs. Senzo. We actually live in this building, so right up above us. It's really wonderful. So the arts programs and boarding programs don't have to overlap, so day students can be just involved in the arts. And I think you'll get a lot more information from the admissions department on the boarding stuff. One thing I'll say that does relate to boarding and arts is that when you're like in the thick of a musical or something, that's a really cool time if you're really into it to be a seasonal boarder, because then you go to rehearsal and then you eat, we provide you dinner, and then you get to go to study hall up in your room, go to bed and do it all again the next day. So a lot of times people choose seasonal based on either what art they're doing or what sport they're doing.
And I will say, like, people who are really serious about their art, you spoke to this, the quality of the art that is here is, meets their needs and expectations. So a lot of boarders who are used to dancing 3 or 4 nights a week, or used to, being really deep in their art, they can come here and have it all on this campus.
And
So
it's
they're not feeling, like they're leaving some part of themselves behind in some way.
And it's a benefit to our day students too, because at most schools that you go to, the art studio is going to close at, after the art teacher goes home in the afternoon. But so here, actually, our students have access to the studio and the other studios as well, on the weekend, in the evening, day or boarding. It's just if it's dark,
It's like almost always
they just
open.
can't be alone after dark, that's all. So that's really nice.
Any other questions y'all have about arts?
Could you explain what is the chorale?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's really what you would equate, I guess, high school chorus to.
Okay.
And we have, when they come in, everybody does chorale first, no matter how much singing you've done. And so these classes are a little bit smaller. And then I let the kids self-select into chamber choir. And so because they know, like if you really want to make music your thing, you're going to work hard, and that's going to make you a better singer. And so I have seniors that stay in the chorale all the way through because that is sort of their level of commitment, and that's what they want to do. And go.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Apparently wants to teach around
No,
here.
let's
So,
see.
yeah. Teach if we get out.
And then I have,
They locked us in.
sophomores that go on to chamber choir as well. And so, but we put all of the kids together. So if you come to a chorus concert, and there's always orchestras dancing on it, and I mean, we try to, as I like to say, like my mom went to years of bad choral concerts, and I want you to be able to pick up anybody you've ever met and say, if you want to have a good hour and a half of your life, you come see this choral concert, it'll be fine. And I just want it to be great for y'all. So the groups all come together and sing together. So it's not like, this little group sings 3 songs and this group sings 3 songs, But my chamber choir might sing 1 or 2 things by themselves. But if you're in chamber choir, it just means that it's a year-long commitment, chorale semester, and also that we probably sing 40 times a year. And so if you're in chorale and we're singing at, an Alzheimer's event somewhere, and it's Wednesday after school, you don't have to come to that. They do. I mean, if we're singing at the governor's mansion, they're like, oh, I want to go, But if they can't, it's okay. But I have to know that that those chamber choir kids are going to be there. So that's sort of the only difference between those two. So like I said, it's more of a commitment because I want you to be able to do what's right for you, for your daughters.
And can I have another question? Orchestras, is there an audition? Like how does that happen?
It's great. There's not an audition. They have to, just like you would walk into AP Calculus, you'd have to have certain skills and co-requisites. So anyone who's enrolled in intermediate or advanced dance is pretty open to it. They express interest, we watch, and it's a kind of a commitment factor as well, because it's a huge commitment. Dance is kind of funny. You have to practice it every day, and we create. I would say 95% of what we put on the concert doesn't exist in the world. We're making it that semester. Occasionally we'll learn an old piece of repertory, but so it does take a lot of time.
One thing that Michelle does that I think is amazing and really helpful for our girls and our entire institution is when you're in Orcasis and they're getting ready for a performance, like there might be somebody that's in 2 numbers and there might be somebody that's in like 7 of them. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to overspeak, but it means that if you're in the musical, you can still
Yes.
keep your spot in Orcasis and stay, but you know that you're still doing something to stay healthy and athletic and
Yeah, but
So-
like one piece is all they're required to be in, and if they're in Orcasis and they meet on Tuesdays, because I talked to Michelle and Jennifer, and they're like, okay, we'll give you 2, and then they could be in the other things, and we negotiate, because we definitely want them to develop their skills and talents, right? And then I had some who were like,